if you could go? Raise your hand if you go to space. Now look around and look at all the hands that are up. Okay? See all the people who have their hands up. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to go to space. I wanted to be a fighter pilot and an astronaut. And I grew up, I was born on the island of Guam because my dad worked at the NASA tracking station during the Apollo missions. And so for me, getting to space was all about the bright stuff. It was the lens that I saw space access through was as a fighter pilot. But like a lot of us who raised our hand, who said that we would go to space, your childhood dreams slip away. But I never gave up hope that I would make it to space one day. And so instead I went off and I became a geoscience professor. I fell in love with our planet and traveling around the world and really becoming a steward of the environment. My undergrad is in environmental science, my master's is in geology, and then I also knew that I wanted to teach. So I got my PhD in science education, and I've been a full-time community college professor for the last 25 years. Thank you. The thing about being an explorer and an educator is that my dad instilled this idea of me in lifelong learning, that learning doesn't stop once you get your degrees, that you got to continue to learn for your entire life. And so after I became Dr. Proctor right here, I went off and I got my pilot's license. I was 35 years old, always wanted to fly, got my pilot's license. I got scuba certified, and I started traveling and teaching around the world. I was a NOAA teacher at sea, so I have a love for oceans and oceanography. I was a polar trek teacher, going up into the Arctic, and just living the life again of an explorer. And then COVID happened. So my entire career, I've been a scientist, doing all kinds of science things and exploring the planet. And then COVID, during the lockdown, a lot of us around the world needed a way to get through the uncertainty of the world. And the way that we did that was by reaching into our creativity, reaching into the artist within. How many of you became a baker? I understand that, raise your hand, because I know you've got some banana bread. I hear banana bread was the thing here. For us in the US, it was sourdough. Anybody pick up a musical instrument during COVID? You're like, this is my time. Piano, guitar, piano, exactly. So what I did was I actually became an artist and a poet during COVID. And to put that into perspective, this is me at 50 years old. I became an artist and a poet. My entire career, I had always been a scientist, and I never took on the label of artist. I saw myself as being creative in the classroom, but not having that creative hat as an artist until COVID came along. And so this was in 2020, and I started doing art and poetry and sharing it with people. And then I get the opportunity to create a piece. This is January of 2021. This is my most famous art piece. And the reason why is because one day I opened up my Twitter app and it says, hey, Richard Garriott, who is the president of the Explorers Club, is going down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. He's taking art and poetry with him. You two should connect. And the person who wrote that can, DM me and Richard Garriott, who is also happens to be an astronaut. His dad was a NASA astronaut, and then he became a commercial astronaut by flying on a Soyuz in 2008 to space. He was going down to the Mariana Trench, and he was taking art and poetry with him. And I kind of thought, he doesn't know me. But he replied to this tweet and said, yes, I'm leaving in 4 days. If you can give me a piece of art and some poetry, I will take it down to the Mariana Trench. Now, those of you who remember geography, Guam is located on the Mariana Trench. So I was super excited to be able to create my first traveling or adventure art piece. And so I created this piece, and this is my signature character. The face is Afro-Gaia. I call her Afro-Gaia because she's Mother Earth. And then you can see the Mariana Trench going down the middle, and you can see how Afro-Gaia is peeking up above the ocean. And so representing that boundary of that we're all connected by one sky and one ocean. And so I created this line piece, and then I wrote this poem. Now, Richard Garriott is a little particular. He was only taking cinquains with them. I said, cinquain? I had to look it up. You know, being a new poet. And so I looked it up, and it's syllabi, 2 syllabi, 4 syllabi, 6 syllabi, 8 syllabi, 2 syllabi. So why go? Because I can. It's what humans do. We explore, we observe, we learn. Seeker, what we do. So I mailed off this art piece, and Richard Garriott takes it down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And then this is in January of 2021. In February of 2021, they announced the first all-civilian mission to orbit, and that you could win a seat to space. They were giving away the seats. And there were 2 ways you could win. One was by donating to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and that's the generosity seat. And the other one was via Twitter. So if you ain't on Twitter, I'm telling you, all kinds of opportunities. But on Twitter, if you created a 2-minute video expressing why they should take you to space, you could win the prosperity seat. So by the time Richard Garriott came back up from his historic trip down to the Mariana Trench, I had won Inspiration4. And he said, did you know that you would be able to take this piece to space with you? And I said, yes. So my original piece went down to the Mariana Trench, and then before I actually went to space, I gave it to another former astronaut friend, Scott Karasinski, and him and his wife actually took this original piece down to the Titanic. And then it went to space with me. So it's one of the most well-traveled pieces of art. Yes. Thank you. And I'm going to talk about what happened to this piece later, so remind me. But, so here I am, it's February, and you can win a seat to space. And you, in order to do it, you had to create a 2-minute Twitter video expressing why they should take you. Now, think about this. If you raised your hand and you said, oh, I would love to go to space. Imagine that you have that opportunity right now, but you have to create a 2-minute video expressing why they should take you and not the person next to you. What would you say about yourself? What would you want people to know about you that would make them choose you and not somebody else? That is what I found myself, the role I found myself in 2021. And here's the thing. I realized that I had found my authentic voice as an artist and a poet. So for my 2-minute video, I decided that I would show them that I'm an artist and poet by writing a poem. I wrote a poem called Space to Inspire. Would you like to hear it? Yes. Would you like to hear it? Yes. Yes. Okay, this is the poem that won me a seat to space. You've got space, I've got space. We all have space to inspire. Oh, wow. That's why we dream of going higher and higher. But what is space if you can't breathe? Let's stop sucking out the air of our humanity. We have a moment to seize the light. Earth from space, both day and night. We have J for justice, to ignite the bold. We have E for equity, to cut past the old. We have D for diversity, to end the fight. Wow. We have I for inclusion, to try to make it right. Wow. A Jedi space, to rally behind. A universal force so big it binds. Inspiration to change the world. A new beginning for us to hold. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about space to inspire for all of humanity. Oh, wow. Science, technology, engineering, and math, sending us out on the explorer's path. But don't forget the arts, the heartbeat of time. Consider sending a poet, who knows how to rhyme. So let us drop the mic and close that capsule door, but please make sure Dr. Proctor is on board. My space to inspire is what we need. Inspiration4. I'm Dr. Sian Proctor. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm an astronaut. In 2021, I became the mission pilot for Inspiration4, the first all-civilian mission to orbit, and I became the first African-American woman to pilot a spaceship.
Wow, that's incredible. And then what brought you to South Africa?
I came to South Africa to do educational outreach with the State Department as a U.S. science envoy and to share my space to inspire story.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. We're also so inspired because for our Women's Month celebration this year in South Africa, our theme is Seeds of Freedom, empowering women through self-sustainability, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And then it's such an honor to have you here with us. And then I'm just going to ask you a few questions for our viewers so that they get to know you better.
Sounds great.
And then it's like, so in your own words, how do you describe a core essence of being a woman?
I think for the core essence of being a woman is mainly about unleashing your inner explorer. And a lot of times we think of exploration as being something where it's external and how you're discovering something new for humanity. But exploration, I think particularly for women and empowering women, is all about discovering something new for yourself every day. And really like embracing this idea of women being explorers and empowered through their own gaining of knowledge. And that's a lifelong endeavor, right? You can learn anything at any age. So you can be an explorer from birth to, death. And if you embrace that, then it's empowering.
Wow, thank you so much. And then can you share with us what are the standout moments in your career journey that has shaped who you are today?
I think some of the big things that have really shaped who I am is moments that you are unexpected. Like my dad died when I was 19. So that definitely had an impact on me because he had always been the person who encouraged me to be an explorer and that I could go out and do anything. And that was mainly through education. And then when he was gone, I had to kind of like forge my own way and figure out how to do it. And then once you become an adult and you start making decisions for yourself, being able to control the voice inside your head that tells you that you can't do something, like that imposter syndrome, and being able to work through fear and understanding that you're not limited because of fear, that if you can learn to control your fear and take opportunity, then it opens up new pathways and even more opportunity that you didn't know of before. An example is when I decided to get my pilot's license when I was 35 years old. I had always wanted to fly when I was a kid. And there's nothing more, challenging that I think that I've done than soloing an airplane for the first time. Because when you solo an airplane for the first time, it's just you and the airplane and your abilities to take it off and successfully bring it back down to Earth. And there's nobody there to support you or help you. It's just you. And I think that that's, when you accomplish those types of things in your life, they empower you to realize that you can take on really kind of challenging moments in your life and get through them.
And also because when you do something on your own and then you conquer it, it does make you feel you can conquer anything. Especially
Absolutely.
something that you are on your own. If anything happens, everything is on your hands. So that's really like power on its own.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then what inspires there, because you mentioned also that you've got a lot of outreach projects, and then what inspires you that you feel you have to have all these outreach programs?
I think I'm mostly inspired by those moments when you're sharing your story with a young person and you can see it in their face that they are just in awe, and you can see kind of like, the wheels turning where they're thinking about like what you're saying and how it's impacting them. And they just are smiling and connected to you in that moment. And you know that you're potentially giving them a moment that will send them on a trajectory they never thought of before. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I became a teacher. And then also I enjoy doing outreach is really knowing that I can make an impact on people's lives. And even in just a moment, like one little thing that you might say or one way that you encourage them, and then they take off and you don't know it, but you've set them in motion.
Yes, and they can open a possibility that one wouldn't have thought, you know what I mean, would be possible for them, because that's what inspires with the path that you've chosen. That's what is inspired about you, is the fact that you will, when you see, for me as a woman, when you see a woman, Black woman, doing something that I didn't even realize that there's even females to begin with, it's very empowering, and then it makes you feel like, because you are an example, if you can do it, and then there's a possibility that also I can do it. So it does open you up to explore more things. And this one is gonna be it's more of the theme of the of our years of this year's celebration for Women's Month. It says that, reflecting on the edited proverb, give a woman a fish and you feed her for a day. Teach a woman to fish and you feed her for the lifetime. How crucial is it for women to invest in themselves first? How does this self-investment empower them to support others effectively, considering the idea that you can't pour from an empty cup? I know it's a long question, but
yeah, no, I love that saying that, about teaching a woman to fish so that they can feed themselves.
Yeah.
And, when you're talking about empowerment and sustainability.
Yes.
And for me, that goes definitely to my motto. So my motto is space to inspire. And when I talk about space to inspire, I'm not talking about outer space. I'm talking about this space, the space that makes you you. Because there will only ever be one of you, and your unique space to inspire is so important. And when we empower girls and women to take ownership of their unique space and use that space to inspire themselves first and then others around them, then they can lead a life where they're looking for what their passion is and what inspires them as a person and a human being. And then with that passion and that their space, they go out and share it in a way that empowers others and ripples out. And it's such a beautiful thing to see when we take care of ourselves and we learn to, like you said, fish for ourselves, sustain ourselves. And to me, that's space to inspire.
Thank you so much. And then the next question is like, life can be full of challenges sometimes. So can you share the practices that keeps you grounded and resilient when you encounter these challenging times?
When I have challenging times, that's when creativity matters the most, because your own creativity is what you get to control. And so for me, finding art and poetry, I found my authentic voice, and now I know that I can use that as an anchor for myself whenever I'm facing a challenging time or moment, that I can go and I can lean into my creativity as a way to find to move forward and do that in a way that is restorative, I would say.
Yes. And then may I just ask, as in art, because so you get into that realm where you create. It's a
Yes.
creation realm where you talk about whatever you feel like you can move through. And then later on, you realize that instead of like thinking of a problem, you look at it and then you create it. And then when you look at the artwork, you just understand it better. That's
Yeah.
what happens to you as well?
Yeah, basically you are able to take the time to work through that, and it can be and it doesn't necessarily, for me it's definitely art, but for anybody it's their own creative way
Yes.
of expressing themselves. Like some people love to cook and bake,
Yes.
and when they're having a challenging moment, getting into the kitchen, into that space,
Yes.
helps them find clarity.
Yes.
Because I know for me, if I'm doing art, then I'm also a lot of times outside of my head and creating and in a state of flow. And then that resets me. It resets your mood. It resets your outlook. It puts you in a positive space, so that whatever that challenge is, that the challenge that you're facing, you have a new perspective on it that's much more healthier, and that will enable you to move forward.
Wow, thank you. And then do you believe that a unified effort among women worldwide can contribute to healing the world?
Oh, absolutely. The more that women work together and support each other, the better the world is. And there's plenty of evidence for that, but I talk about what I call creating Jedi space, just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive space for all of humanity. And when we're thinking about women creating Jedi space for themselves and other women, then the world would be an amazing place.
Yes, I believe that too. Finally, what makes you grateful and proud of being a woman? What unique strengths and qualities do you cherish?
I think what makes being a woman for me unique is one is breaking barriers, because there are a lot of them, and we need to create Jedi space and strive to support each other in these endeavors, because to even the playing field, because historically it hasn't been. And a lot of times, girls and women feel like they are not, secondary to society and male dominance, and that's absolutely changing. And to me, that, playing a role in that, I think, is important.
Yes.
And because historically, as we move towards this Jedi space and what I call the Star Trek future, where we can boldly go together into, not just on Earth, but beyond to the stars, that women are a strong lead in that endeavor. And when women take the lead, they do it with excellence and with a sense of Jedi space, I like to think of. We have that in, I feel like, as an innate part of us.
Yes.
Because we, as the caregivers, we tend to try to be just and equitable and diverse and inclusive when we're thinking about, our kids and our and the neighbors' kids, and that strong sense of family and unity and community that comes from women.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think you've already touched on this. Our last question is, what is your motto in life?
My motto in life is space to inspire. Using your unique space to inspire yourself and those around you. But when you're doing that, to create a Jedi space, a just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive space for yourself and your family and your community, and etc. And in the process, let your earth light shine.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Proctor.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.